Call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for new Medicare plans that may include free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free meal delivery, free prescription drug delivery, expanded at-home telehealth visits, and much more. It's a new year, and that means you may be eligible for newly expanded Medicare benefits. Remember, you don't get these benefits automatically.
I want these new benefits. I'm calling
for the existing
voice, helping them be been phenomenal.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. PetVivo is an emerging biomedical device company focused on the licensing and commercialization of innovative medical devices for pets. And with me is the CEO, John Lai. Welcome, John. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you, Jane. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, big accomplishment for PetVivo. You have achieved a major milestone with your NASDAQ uplisting and the closing of significant financing. So, congratulations on that. And kind of tell me a little bit about how does that position the company then going forward?
Thank you. Well, it allows us to really aggressively push the marketing of Kush, our product for treating osteoarthritis, as well as bring in additional salespeople. I think our forecast is we're looking to bring in 9 additional salespeople over the next 12 months. So it also positions us from a standpoint of really beefing up the production staff that will allow us to get to 500,000 units a year, which is significant.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure this is a growing area. Now, you deal specifically with osteoarthritis. So, and you're going to be treating canine, equine, horses. I mean, tell me a little bit about osteoarthritis. Like, how big of an issue is it with animals?
Sure. In the United States, osteoarthritis, there's about, I would say about 4.8 billion market for treating OA. But on top of that, it's been growing at 7% a year. And with COVID, it's actually enhanced that number because our dogs, believe it or not, just like people, gain weight. And when you gain weight, you have more arthritis issues. So we got a lot of drivers behind us, as well as the humanization of the pets. So consumers are willing to spend significant amount of capital to improve the quality of life. So basically, you know, the numbers really drive itself through. The typical person that was willing to spend treatment for a dog in 2012 was about $1,700 before they refused treatment. Okay. In 2020, it's $10,700. So you see the significant revenue. Okay. Yeah, the humanization of the pet family has really come in. And a lot of that's demographic drivers. You know, you look at less and less people are getting married, less and less people are having children. Hence, they're willing to spend whatever it takes. Plus, on top of that, you know, it's recession-proof. The sector is very recession-proof.
That's true. And I take a walk a lot, especially in the summer in New York, and there are pets everywhere. So all kinds of dogs, sizes, big, little, So now you have some stories about how you have helped pet parents. Can you share a couple of those?
Sure. Not only do we treat osteoarthritis, but we treat other joint afflictions. So we had one dog at 9 months old. The owner got diagnosed, the dog that had congenital birth defect. So its hip could not be used on the rear left side. So the left leg was extremely small relative to the right leg. The right leg got really big because it was overuse. We did the injection, and it took about 3 weeks before the owner noticed improvement. And the owner, after about 6-7 weeks, said the dog was running pretty normal. And on that single injection, it lasted 7 years, which amazed us because, we think the product should last at least a year, and we're seeing beyond that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and say if I have a pet and I notice that they have they're walking slowing down, something like that, what would be a good place to start? Can I just go to a vet or go on the line, or what should I do?
Well, you generally go to your vet, and then they do an x-ray. And a lot of them can tell just by the movement of the dog, gaiting-wise. So then at that point, we're in the process of educating a lot of vets at the major trade conferences and so on about our product. It doesn't require any specialized training to do the injection. It's called an intra-articular injection, and you can actually, believe it or not, go on YouTube and punch an intra-articular injection. They'll show you every injection of every joint for a dog.
Okay.
I was amazed to find that. I go, wow, this is pretty, it's not simple stuff. Your average person should not be trying it. Let the professionals do the injection. And after the injection, generally within 48 hours, you notice a tangible improvement in mobility of the animal. And it actually improves over a period of time because the particles that are injected actually starts to form a scaffolding. And so that actually enhances the cushion that's allowed between the joints, because osteoarthritis is basically bone-on-bone contact. So this augments the existing cartilage, so it tends to provide support for the existing cartilage so it doesn't get damaged. And then as it starts to solidify, I would say, it acts very much like a massive amount of wet sponges between the joint. And every time there's impact, it actually moves the particles, which ends up lubricating the joint. And that's what your cartilage generally is. There's synovial fluid in there. And then when there's impact, the fluids move. So it functions just the same.
Interesting. Now, right now it's for dogs and horses, right? Could it be applied to other animals?
Yes, we'll be probably launching a feline product within 12 months. And then after that, we'll probably be looking back, going into the human markets or other species. I mean, we have had a white Siberian tiger injected at the Seattle Zoo. We have had billy goats injected in the San Diego Zoo. And I talked to one of the vets, and he asked, can he inject a bear in Florida? And I said, well, I don't see why not. We seem to have injected every animal that I know of.
Give it a shot, right? Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I guess the possibilities are endless. So you've had quite a year already. Where do you see PetVivo in 5 years, for example?
Well, I believe we'll capture market share within the OA space. And then as we expand into other product lines, we'll get traction. And so we'll build a reputation of bringing disruptive products to the marketplace, because this is truly a unique way of addressing the problem of osteoarthritis. We're the only one that I know that actually looks at what's causing it and try to help improve that situation of the bone-on-bone contact. All of our competitors have focused on creating a better NSAID because that's a gold standard of care today. But the problem that exists with NSAIDs is prolonged use will cause GI tract bleeding, liver, kidney issues, also requires compliance of the consumer at least once or twice a day of giving that pill. Okay. So we have distinct advantages over all the current therapies from that standpoint.
Okay, interesting. Well, congratulations again. Best of luck, John, with PetVivo. I look forward to getting more updates.
Well, thank you, Jane. It's been a pleasure.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure is 100% private and does not collect or sell any of your personal data. Secure's Helix technology connects you securely to our Swiss servers without the need of a VPN, guaranteeing privacy and security for all your communications. Secure Messenger doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. Chat by Invites allows you to chat privately and securely with anyone outside of your secure network without the need for others to download Secure. Secure Send offers you a private and secure way to email anyone outside of Secure. You won't find this level of privacy or security on any other email or instant messaging application. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
RSHN and Helios DX have had a lot of development since we last spoke, which I guess was on a month or so ago. So with me is Ashley Sweat, the CEO of both companies, to kind of explain where you've been, what you're looking forward to. So Ashley, welcome again. And I guess update us. Let's start with RSHN. So if you could update us on what's going on with RSHN, kind of give us a real quick synopsis of what the company does too.
Sure. Thanks, Jen. It's great to see you again. And thanks for having us back. So a lot of stuff changed over the last, 2 or 3 weeks since we've spoken about with RSHN. RSHN officially this week has closed on its acquisition, which I alluded to in interview number 1. So RSHN closed on Grand Asia Healthcare, which is the sister company of Helios DX, which was acquired by RSHN last month. Pretty significant acquisition for RSHN. It brings in another entity underneath the umbrella of RSHN. So now you have Helios DX, you have RSHN. Grand Asia itself it's about a year-old company, not quite. This is its inaugural year, I should say. So they've already completed just shy of 1.1 million in annual revenue. We're projecting Grand Asia will do about 1.6, 1.7 this year in its first year.
Yeah. So tell me, how does it fit into the company? And what does Grand Asia do? And how does it move you forward?
Right. Yeah. So Grand Asia is a billing and coding company in the healthcare space. So we can bill for physicians' offices, other laboratories, diagnostic companies, dentist office. So really anything in the healthcare space from a billing component, Grand Asia can have its hands in. It makes for a significant opportunity. It really spreads their wings a little bit out of just the diagnostic space, which is what their main business today is in laboratory with Helios DX, but they currently bill for a couple other laboratories. But moving forward, Grand Asia becomes the flagship company of RSHN. And the reason being, as we've discussed and we've press released a couple of times, Helios DX is working towards splitting off through out of RSHN, which the RSHN shareholders are going to be given a nice dividend and be able to maintain ownership through shares. So Grand Asia, as we move forward into the future, really becomes the flagship company for RSHN.
Okay, so we'll talk about Helios here in a second, but first, any other plans outside of Grand Asia where you might make another acquisition or another similar type business?
Yeah, so we get asked all the time, what is the future of RSHN outside of Grand Asia? Is it just going to be Grand Asia? Is RSHN going to change its name to Grand Asia? The best way to answer that is RSHN it's essentially going to become like a business incubator, if you will. I've been very fortunate to have been surrounded by some really great people that allowed me to bring 2 companies that I own in the private sector to bring them into the public sector, and never could have done it if I didn't have people around me. So, what I want to do with RSHN moving forward as Grand Asia being the flagship company is we are going to go after, and, I'm already talking to 2 or 3 other companies right now for acquisition to bring them in underneath RSHN. Some of those companies will stay in RSHN for the long haul. Some of those companies will follow the same footsteps that Helios DX is doing and will spin off and become their own, publicly traded entity. And the advantage of that is really it's twofold. One, for the business owner itself that has a great product they want to bring to the public sector, but two, for the RushNet shareholders, they get an opportunity just by being a RushNet shareholder to not only grow with Grand Asia, but to be able to grow with some other entities that may come in and spin out into the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you brought up Helios DX. So, and I understand you're in the process of spinning that off, right? So where does that company stand right now? What's its status?
Yeah, so Helios DX, we are working through the process of doing a split off. Essentially, there's a lot that goes into that. So RushNet, as you know, or I mentioned previously, was a dark shell prior to March when I took it over. So we've come a long ways in getting it up to pink current, get the financials submitted. Right now the auditors are completing the audits for RushNet over the last couple of years, completing the audits of Helios DX. Once those are done, we can then take the steps to start filing our paperwork with the SEC and really pushing that progress forward on Helios DX. But, in the meantime, while we're doing this, we're focused on the core business at Helios, being a diagnostics laboratory in infectious disease, behavioral health, urine toxicology. We're growing that business. We've grown well over 120% the last 2 years. We broke our quarterly record in first quarter. We broke it again in second quarter. We broke a monthly record last month for July. So we're seeing our revenues continue to grow in this business as we push forward with the future of Helios.
And was there a private lab that Helios was in the process of acquiring?
Yes. So, okay. And so here's where we are on that. So, yeah, we are under a binding LOI right now with the target close date of really the end of 3Q, 4Q. And that's still the target. That's still the goal. Looking at things as I see it today, we're really pressed to hit those marks. So, the good thing about this acquisition is it's a friendly acquisition. The owners of that laboratory and myself, we speak daily. They want this to happen as much as we want this to happen. So if we did need to push the acquisition close date back, it's a friendly transaction. We're going to be able to do so.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ashley. Congratulations. And we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3. Global Wellness Strategies is a prospect generator that provides high-growth companies with financial, operational, and management assistance in the fast-growing market for wellness consumer products. And with me is the CEO and director, Maris Kott. Welcome, Maris.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, great to see you. So tell us a bit about Global Wellness Strategies.
Well, we are a prospect generator, but we're focused in companies that are science-backed and data-driven. We all know that if your mind isn't healthy, even if your body's healthy, it has to fit together. It's almost like a car with the correct petroleum in it. And so what we've decided to do is we've decided to focus on companies that really are discovery companies, more biotech companies that are discovering new drugs, not just the same oils that other people are using and just adding a little bit. And we're now focused more on the clinical study side of the business so that the science behind it is really backed with facts. Mm-hmm. We are 2 years old, and We are traded on 3 exchanges. So we're looking for a global audience for the products of the companies as well.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that you just made an acquisition in Australia, right? So how did you find this company? What interested you to go all the way to Australia for an acquisition?
You know, the irony is COVID has given us all great opportunities because we're connecting over the computer, like our interview right now, because I'm in Vancouver and you're in, I gather you're based in New York. And so one of our investment bankers who had been an initial investor in our company from Peak Asset Management in Australia brought us this company and said, these people are cutting edge. They've done 2 other projects with companies in Canada, one with Valens, an extraction company out of Vancouver. And we looked at what they had, and they were in the psychedelic space, which we all know is an amazing, growing, evolving space right now. But what they had was something that no one else had. They were doing research and development in pain management. And we couldn't, and we just said, you know, that's the basis of a lot of the problems that people have is pain management. And that's the basis of the crisis in the overdose of FDA approved. And that's where we headed with them. And it's just an amazing acquisition for us.
Very interesting. And you're right about the psychedelics. It's a very interesting space right now. So is this Shanti? Tell me about that product. Was this part of this acquisition or is that something else?
No, Shanti is this acquisition. It's called Shanti Therapeutics. It's part of a cannabis company in Australia called Canvalate. And they believed that their psychedelic research should be in its own entity. So they founded Shanti Therapeutics. And we are acquiring Shanti Therapeutics. It is in the psychedelic space, but it's in the MDMA space. So we're not dealing with psilocybin. We're not dealing with LSD. It's very targeted. The gentleman who founded it is a anesthesiologist, and his partner has done studies on pain, I believe, for the last 2 decades, and is also the medical director of the Swinburne Center for Neuropsychology. So these are actually doctors and researchers who are just taking their research to the next level.
Mm-hmm. And what is their master plan with that research in biotech?
You know, they have a 1-line mantra that I'm going to read here. It's pharmaceutical-grade psychedelic solutions to solve unmet medical needs in the field of chronic pain. Okay. They're looking to be the #1 pain management company away from, the current drugs. Their main concept here, let me get to one of their main path here is to get to an IND with the FDA, is to do animal studies to start, and then do clinical studies, and then get to the point where they can apply for an IND with the FDA, and the FDA will say, this is going to change pain management. So we've looked around, and through our research have found that they're the only company globally who's really focused taking MDMA and focusing on pain management. They're looking at a pathway of, 3 months for the trial registration, 6 months, 9 months, and a year to get the IND. They're very quick going forward. That was what was exciting to us, that they're not looking at a 3-year path because they have the connections and they have the strategic alliances.
Thank you so much, Maris, for coming and telling us about the company, and best of luck. And I look forward to our future conversations.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. GlobeX data through its secure product has a lot of answers to hacking questions, cybersecurity, some of the things that we're all been dealing with. And it seems increasingly over the past couple of years. With me, the CEO of GlobeX Data is Alon Gahi, to explain a little bit more. And Alon, I know that you launched in mid-July. How is that going?
Doing great. Hi, Jane, and hello, whoever is watching us. So we started an official launch in the U.S. July 15. This started with advertising on NTD Network. A few other things we're doing. Our Newsmax segment, our secure segment, that's now every Sunday. And we have seen a month-over-month increase over 1,000%. So it's astronomical. So I like to say that because we did save over 1,000 identities so far because of the hacking issue and our features that prevent hacking in many ways because of our privacy regulation, our software, and so forth. We saved so far the American public $30 million in identity theft recovery costs, because it costs on average at least $30,000 for somebody to get back their identity when they're being hacked. And, you don't need to be a big corporation. It affects everyone. So the subscription rate has gone up dramatically. Our monthly recurring revenue obviously is going up. And so far, because we started from the 12th of July to now, we're not even the 12th of August. And in August, we'll also see a dramatic increase of over 2,000% in revenue compared to the same period in July. So, of course, we're not going to expect 1,000% increase every month, but it proves that what we're doing in the marketing is definitely working, and we have a lot more planned in the coming 18, 24 months.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I know you've been doing a big marketing push in the U.S. with your launch as well. So any plans for that or expansion of that at some point?
Sure. So we started gently, as we like to say, and then, kind of doing A/B testing to see what works. What's coming up in September onward, we're going to have more advertising on Newsmax. We're going to have CNBC, Fox Business. We have a 30-second commercial. And then mid-September onward, we're planning to hire and implement with that company. And we're planning to hire this company that will help us through artificial intelligence, targeting people susceptible of buying secure products. And it's not just consumers. We're launching the business services as well, which I can tell more in a little bit about that. Once businesses get to see our features and our advantages, a lot of them are going to switch to us because we don't use big tech and open source and so forth, and it protects them. And IBM came up with a study last year that each hack cost a business $3.5 million. So that's a lot of money, and it's better to pay us your $10 a month to protect yourself. So we're going to go all over TV. We just launched, we're doing so many things. We just launched over 6 subway station. We launched 156 digital panel with secure privacy has arrived. And that's from 72nd and 2nd in New York, 59th Street, Columbus Circle, 59th Street, 14th Street, Union Square, Fulton, Stop, and Wall Street. And we just started those. We're going to continue throughout the year and into next year. So we're doing a lot of visual and media. And now we're going to layer the artificial intelligence to really target businesses and individuals that go on websites or anywhere that are looking for solutions like ours. And in the future, once we sign it, we'll announce who the company will be that we're signing with. It's a publicly listed company, so I can't disclose right now the information, but we're very excited.
Okay. Now, also, Microsoft had a recent intelligence report about how the hackers are getting craftier and smarter. I mean, I think, we can certainly see that. How would your products address that? Would they be able to address these more sophisticated hackers?
That's a great point. So that hack you're talking about, they basically use email phishing, which is creating an email with a forged identity. The email phishing is a common thing. But now they're using SharePoint, which is a file sharing system of the Microsoft ecosystem, to get in businesses and people. So what we do at Secure that is different, we basically use our Secure Send email solution, which lets you send an email to one of your collaborator or somebody outside, even they would have Gmail or Hotmail or anything else. And that whole email that you send, and when they reply back using secure reply, that entire transaction never leaves our Swiss encrypted server environment. Because the basic concept of email is, if you're still secure, like you're sitting at NASDAQ, they have a great system. But if you send an email outside to a client, the minute it leaves the NASDAQ server, it becomes like an open postcard. And then they reply back, and that's another open postcard. And that's where hackers get in. 95% of all the hacks are done through email. So our alternative is to use secure send. When you have the secure email system, I can send anybody an email and they can reply back using secure reply. And they simply have to click on a link and you can protect it. You can do password protection, time limit, expiration, and even how many times the recipient can read. But the big danger is always when they reply back, they always reply using their email. Mm-hmm. So we alleviated that by having them get into our server. It's just literally a click, and you click secure reply, and you reply back. And another great thing is that you can have huge files attachment without cumbersome for the recipient. So we use that. We have secure messenger that lets you send a message, an instant message to anybody even outside of secure, and they can reply. They can use a secure browser to chat with you. They don't need to buy secure. And then when you're done, you terminate, you click, the whole conversation disappears from everybody's device and our servers.
Yeah, well, very interesting and timely, because I mean, we've just been hearing about hacks on a daily basis. So thank you so much, Alon. I look forward to more updates.
Need hearing aids? Tired of paying $5,000 or more? Tired of making multiple trips to have your hearing aids adjusted? Now you don't have to. Our HearIQ 4 medical grade hearing aids are fully rechargeable, Bluetooth compatible, and start at under $1,000 for a complete set or monthly payments of $44. Our hearing aids are self-adjusting using any smartphone and features remote programming by hearing care professionals without you ever leaving home. Order your pair today at myheariq.com.
Iagon's vision is to create a global supercomputer powered by artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. And with me is the CEO of Navjeet Dalawal to explain more about Iagon. So this sounds very futuristic. Navjeet, can you kind of give me a summary of what Iagon is doing?
Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks for having me. So Iagon is the first decentralized cloud computing and storage platform that bridges decentralization with regulation, enabling us to target enterprise clients. We have 3 pilot customers, 2 enterprise and 1 academia. We have grants from Innovation Norway, which is government funded, and we just recently closed a funding round of 3.4 million USD. We're led by 4 PhDs that are experts in decentralized computing, AI, cloud computing, architecture, and business development. Wow. That's a short summary.
Well, it sounds very interesting. How did the idea of Iagon come to you?
Yeah, so the idea actually originated from the healthcare sector. Me being from the healthcare sector, it was originally, the idea was to secure medical files and data privacy for sensitive data. Eventually, it evolved around and it came into more generic solution in all sensitive type of data and being more GDPR compliant.
Okay, when I think of these fields, I think of the huge company, Google, and IBM is in blockchain, and they've got, a quantum computer and things like that. I mean, how do you differentiate yourself from some of these big giants in tech?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have a lot of backing, a lot of staff, and it's hard to compete against such big companies. But we were coming up with a unique idea. We're lowering our cost by up to 80%. And we're using unused resource capacities. So anyone with a smart device, anyone with a mobile device, or even a laptop or data storage center could share their resources with us, and in return receive a revenue stream for that resources. That's why we're able to reduce prices up to 80%, and that helps us compete against them. And furthermore, we're focusing a lot of our attention on GDPR compliance. There was a couple of months ago there was an article about Google getting fined 100 mil in EU for not being GDPR compliant, and the other giants have said not to be able to be GDPR compliant because of how their infrastructure is currently. So a lot of enterprise solutions are looking at alternative solutions that help them be compliant. And that's what we're focusing on.
Okay. And I think regulation could be coming in the U.S. as well. So you might
definitely
be positioned.
Our primary focus is on GDPR in the beginning, but we're moving over to U.S. and HIPAA compliance and different types of other compliances that we'll implement later on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the story of Iagon, and best of luck.
Need hearing aids? Tired of paying $5,000 or more? Tired of making multiple trips to have your hearing aids adjusted? Now you don't have to. Our Hear IQ 4 medical grade hearing aids are fully rechargeable, Bluetooth compatible, and start at under $1,000 for a complete set or monthly payments of $44. Our hearing aids are self-adjusting using any smartphone and features remote programming by hearing care professionals without you ever leaving home. Order your pair today at myheariq.com. Helios DX is defining a new era of reliable laboratory testing with fast, accurate results. With a full range of services including urine toxicology, behavioral toxicology, infectious disease, allergy, and other popular test menus. Helios DX, an alternative to national diagnostic laboratories, provides value to patients and physicians through personable and reliable services. To learn more, visit heliosdx.com/labs.
Strikeforce is doing some very innovative things when it comes to cybersecurity. And with me for another update on what's going on with the company is CEO Mark Kay and also Executive Vice President George Weller. Great to have you guys back. Always interesting to talk to you about such an important topic. So, George, let's start with you. So now that Safe VChat, Privacy Link have launched, can you share with us what the company is doing to increase sales for the balance of this year?
Sure. And in fact, what we're doing, Jane, is increasing sales, obviously, for the future this year and next year. Okay. So as you know, in real estate, it's all about location, right? In our business, in cybersecurity, it's about sales. And Mark has been fantastic at developing for us a 4-point strategy or 4-pronged approach and strategy. So the first is our marketing, especially digital marketing. As we explained in the past, that we partnered with American Eagle, and Mark has set aside, we'll be spending upwards of $1 million for us on digital marketing. And the very exciting news that I'm really happy to talk about is that while this just started, only so many weeks ago, we brought in so many new customers, and more are coming in every day. And these are corporate customers, and this is fantastic. It's a great start for what we see as a fantastic journey. The second prong, so we have marketing as the first prong. The second prong is direct sales. Mark has said this several times that we are looking for salespeople. We're interviewing, we're looking for the best of the best who want to make a lot of money working with us and have a great, career here. So we're looking for those sales folks in the cyberspace that can sell our technologies to the enterprise. But one of the things that Mark has been very big on is we're not waiting for that, because as you know, it could take weeks or months to hire good salespeople. So one of the things we've done is I went out and searched of the top marketing firm for outbound sales. And I'm happy to say that we signed an agreement with Exalterate. They're one of the country's leading outbound sales organizations, and they are professional salespeople. And they'll start in 2 weeks on October 8th, on September 8th, and they'll be placing, literally, their team will each be making hundreds and hundreds of calls a week to potential customers. That both from lists that they have as well as that we have. So that direct sales is going to be a very big boost for us. The third part of our four-prong approach, which I'm very, very excited about, is our distribution. And what I mean by that is our reseller channel. When you take a look, Jane, at all the companies in history that really grew big, it was the Semantics of the world. If you look at the Ciscos of the world, if you look at the McAfees of the world, all the people, especially in tech space, how did they grow? The majority of them grew through a reseller channel. So having a reseller channel is extremely important. Yeah, you have to have your direct sales, but you also have to have your reseller channel. And so one of the things we've done is we just signed a deal with CRN just over the weekend, in fact. And CRN is one of the country's leading and most trusted source for resellers, with over 780,000 resellers that subscribe to their service. So we'll be launching a program with CRN. We just signed it. It'll launch in about 30 days because, all the things that got to happen in the interim. And they'll be delivering to us 100 new resellers on a quarterly basis. At a minimum, sometimes it could be 150 or 200 resellers. Obviously, then our team has to go through those resellers, make sure they meet the proper criteria to be, a certified reseller of our products. But the exciting thing is we have a professional company that does this for a living that's going to help us build this channel. And our goal is to put on 100 new resellers over the next 12 months. Now, it could be 140, it could be 180, but our goal is minimally 100 new resellers over the next 12 months. That's the third prong. The fourth prong is to continue with our Safe VChat, our API capabilities. As one of the things that Mark talked about in the past is that our Safe VChat, what makes it so unusual is the fact that we've built a set of APIs that allow the application to be integrated directly to other people's applications.
Thank you. I look forward to updates.
Enjoy the benefits of the world's first patented time-release hemp-based CBD topical cream. Hourglass has achieved increased topical bioavailability of cannabinoids that slowly release our CBD over an extended period of time. Hourglass is 99% CBD, THC-free, and lab-tested and verified by scanning our QR codes. Visit hourglassonlinestore.com.
PetProducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company. PharmaGreen's mission is to provide advanced technology of tissue culture science together with the proprietary chibifrine in the in vitro plant process. So here to explain all of this, so with me is Peter Wojcik, the CEO, and welcome, Peter. Good to see you again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me again, and I look forward to continuing with the interview with you.
Yeah, well, I look forward to getting updates from you. So let's get right to it. So I guess for people who did not see our first interview, explain what PharmaGreen is, and then tell me about what you've been up to the last few months.
Great. So as you mentioned, we're a highly specialized tissue culture company for the production of starter pamphlets for cannabis growers and beyond. So the big benefits of that is we have the super starter pamphlets where the growers could produce very healthy and very producing, large producers, plants and flowers for those who grow cannabis and hemp, as well as other plant species as we move our business plan along. And we're very excited to share with you our business development, which is we have just recently signed a memorandum of understanding, and that memorandum of understanding entails us basically acquiring property in Northern California and building out a super flowering facility using Internet of Things, state-of-the-art technologies for the production and flower of cannabis. So we're excited with this potential acquisition that the memorandum of understanding was signed.
So Peter, tell me about the super cannabis flowering facility. What is that? What does that do?
Well, that is basically a fully controlled facility in space where we're controlling everything and we're deploying the IoT or Internet of Things technologies to basically be in full control of the production facility. So in real time, we can control the environment that's there. We have real-time monitoring as well. And when you have such a super facility and such super technologies deployed, you're really able to produce some of the best quality product. So that is basically super facility where you're able to control all aspects of cultivation.
Okay, so makes sense. So is it producing now, and how does it look so far?
Right now, yes, the property is producing. It is doing about $500,000 in revenues. It's basically a very primitive structure of outdoor cultivation as well as a hop greenhouse. And the exciting part is we want to take what's producing there, about $500,000 in revenue, and turn it into $15 million plus in annual revenues. So we plan to do that basically by doing 4 cultivation cycles instead of 1. And therefore, they will drastically increase the current revenues from the current $500,000 to well over $15 million.
So who is in charge of this super flowering facility? It's kind of hard to say.
Well, I'm glad you've asked, because this is a very exciting part to explain to you who we're working with. So this particular owner of the property and gentleman, he's the 3rd generation grandmaster grower. So his grandfather, who was a botanist, planted the very first cannabis plant in 1953. His father continued that tradition with the cultivation of marijuana. Now he's also continuing for most of his life just the same, cultivating. So this is very exciting to be working with such a very rare skill set where you have a 3rd generation grower with such high experience in cultivating.
Oh, yeah. That's a very cool story. So now tell me a little bit about the plans for that location, for that particular location, and are there any plans for additional super flowering facilities?
Yes, this is just basically our first building block. So we plan to, as soon as the definite agreements are signed, we plan to immediately begin with the construction of this first facility. We're up to the maximum allowable size by the county. And we're also planning to immediately apply for a nursery application, which will allow us to include our starter plantlets utilizing tissue culture technology. We also have plans, so this isn't the only property that we can acquire. We have an option to acquire an additional 160 acres of land to expand as we grow. Basically, we have unlimited potential on this property as we move forward.
What is the message that you would like to send to current as well as potential future shareholders?
Well, the number one message we'd like to send is our business development is going extremely well. The acquisition is in place. We will be investing funds into the location, not only to expand the current cultivation in well excess of $15 million, but we also will be building additional structures, including the tissue culture facility, to supply our operations and also supply those who have expressed great interest in the supply of such high quality benefits. So that's our future for the next 2 years and more facilities after that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Peter, for joining us again. I look forward to more updates as all of your projects get moving along.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to New to the Street. I'm Anna Berry, and happy to speak with Alain Guiai with GlobeX Data Limited. It's the leader in Swiss-hosted private and secure communications and data management. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Alain. Welcome back on the show.
Thank you, Anna. Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, so the news is always full with these issues. So talk a little bit about the latest Microsoft email phishing hack and the users of Office 365 and SharePoint. There's a lot of people out there that's been affected by this.
Yeah, so a few days ago, the Microsoft Intelligence Research Group posted a new vulnerability that there's a new set of hackers and a new methodology of people phishing your email and spoofing. Now, these are words that are a bit sometimes unknown to the general public. So when you say email phishing, it's essentially somebody's tricking you, the receiver of an email, to click on a link, and then suddenly you open a malware and they take over your computer or your phone, and they also can hold you for ransom, or your business, even worse. And the spoofing is essentially the creation of an email with a fake identity, a forged identity. So it may come into me, let's say, as Anna Berry. And then, we mostly have the reaction of, okay, I'm just going to open it because it's Anna Berry. I've been in every security symposium that I go to. A lot of people say half of the security is really human behavior. We can only do so much with machine. So we have to now be more diligent. So what happens is on Office 365, which already has been compromised by several SolarWind hacks, a SolarWind company that got hacked. And every month now we discover there's a new version of the hack and more people are affected. The source code of Microsoft supposedly has been stolen now. So you have millions of developers in that open source community, which is a community of developers worldwide that usually work on a particular software, and everybody kind of improves it. But the downside, the reverse, is that you have malicious people that come in, act as real, what we call white hat developers, but they come in to figure out how to get in to these software. So you have millions of people affected, and we can't just stop email. So one of the things I would recommend, and SharePoint is a file sharing system. A lot of legacy companies use it. There's definitely other solutions. But when you buy the whole Office suite, it comes with all these things. But again, it goes back to what we've been saying, is it's all about the data mining, right? The big companies, they make money from your data, not from charging you $10, $20, $50 a month. So that's also increases the risk, and it also is basically a great attraction for hackers to come and steal your data.
I personally know that a lot of people, Office 365, SharePoint, it's used at government agencies, right? So that's extremely confidential and valuable information that they're hacking into. So you said you have some of those tips, which is like hovering over that email name. Talk to us a little bit more about how secure is different, how it protects any of this from happening in your own database, in your own phone, in your computer system. Break it down for us.
Sure, gladly. So some people might go to secure.com and they're going to see secure or secure messenger. Secure has the email and the messenger service as well. So what we do, if you use webmail, that means if you go on secure.com or mail.secure.com and you're on your webmail, just like what you would go on a Gmail without installing the email on your device itself. When you use what we call webmail or online mail, we have a bunch of tools that are very helpful. So first, we have the Secure Send feature, which is amazing because essentially our technology, what we do, see, everybody else, what they do is they secure an email or a message from the device. Then they send that encryption key to the recipient, and then it goes back and forth. There's hacks happening there too. We call that man-in-the-middle hack, because the encryption that your device does is not really that powerful because the device doesn't have a lot of processing power. What we do is your emails and your messages never leave our environment in Switzerland. We have, super powerful servers that crunch out highly complex encryption key. We have a lot of processing power. It's like engine power. And an engine power of $1 million of servers is bigger than a $1,000 phone, right? So that what we do is, let's say we can exchange information. You can email someone that has even another email like Gmail, a work mail, Hotmail, and that person will receive a link to click. You can password protect that link, time limit, and even how many times they can read. When they click on the link, they're in our Swiss environment, they can read the email, and they can do secure reply. So even if you don't have secure, but the sender has secure, they can protect that two-way communication. And because that communication never leaves our servers, it's protected. And you also would have to literally hack us to try to mimic that secure send and secure reply. We've started in 2007 in Switzerland. We have never had a successful hack for many reasons, which we will go over in the coming months of how we do things. But basically, that's a fact. Now, that's the email. That's great because you're going to email your doctor, your bank, your lawyer, your friends, your supplier, anything. If you're a business, you want those financial transactions to be protected. If you're an individual and you email maybe something to a doctor or a chiropractor or, a naturopath, you don't want your medical record to be floating all over the net, right? So, or if you travel, for example, there's so many things. So for the messenger, we do things a little bit differently. And I think that's where some of our users have sometime like that extra step to understand and accept. When you give your phone number away, when you download an application, which they always ask for your phone number, they have your phone number by default. When you get an app from a phone, from iOS or Android, they have your phone number. It's a fact. What you do with us is different. You first register at secure.com on the website. You get a user ID and a password. We never ask for your phone number. Then when you go to your iPhone or Android and download that app, if you want to go through an app, even though we have a mobile version, you basically never have to give the phone number away. You log in with a username and password, and we have a complete wall. We don't store anything on the phone. The only downside for this is that if you want to text someone, well, first of all, for every application, the other person needs the app as well. If they don't have the same app, then they can't, unless you do SMS, which now everybody can read, right? You don't want that. So if you use Secure Messenger, we found a way to message someone that doesn't even have Secure. You put their first, last name, and email, because we never ask for the phone number. They get an email that says, Anna wants to chat with you. They click, and it opens a secure browser, a private channel. Now they are in Switzerland too, just like you. And you're both communicating within our Swiss server. We get a lot of people that say, I can't ask and add contact one at a time. I understand that. So in the next 8 weeks, we're going to try to make it that we can upload all your contact without data mining them, because we never data mine anything. And that'll be a little bit easier. So you say, hey, I want to go to Anna. It'll pop up and populate Anna's name and email. But that's the only way not to get hacked.
Elaine, this technology is fantastic, and I really look forward to following up with more updates with you in the future right here on New to the Street.
Thank you, Anna, and thanks and everyone for watching us.
Looking for a better way to lose weight and feel good? How about the one with a 98% success rate and the more affordable weight loss solution? That's Golo. There are no monthly fees and it's guaranteed to work or you don't pay. No stimulants, no starving, just results. Results you'll keep for life.